For most of human history, the idea of other living worlds belonged to myth rather than measurement. The stars were distant fires, fixed and unreachable, and any notion that planets like Earth might orbit them was speculation without evidence. Life, as far as humanity could tell, was a solitary event, a fragile anomaly clinging to one small world circling one ordinary star. Even as science advanced, this loneliness persisted, reinforced by the silence of the cosmos. Then, slowly, that silence began to fracture. With the discovery of exoplanets, the universe revealed itself not as a barren expanse punctuated by rare worlds, but as a landscape dense with planets of every conceivable type. Hot giants skimming their stars, frozen bodies drifting in darkness, worlds crushed by gravity or stripped to bare rock. Each discovery expanded possibility while simultaneously narrowing hope. The more planets humanity found, the more unusual Earth appeared. And yet, hidden among the extremes, astronomers began to notice patterns, places where the conditions for life did not seem impossible, merely improbable. The search shifted from finding planets to finding systems, environments where stability, time, and chemistry might align long enough for life to emerge and persist. That shift is what made TRAPPIST one so extraordinary. The star itself is unassuming, a red dwarf, faint and cool, invisible to the naked eye despite being relatively close in cosmic terms. It does not blaze like the sun or dominate its surroundings. It burns quietly, slowly, with a lifespan measured in trillions of years. Stars like TRAPPIST, one are often dismissed as hostile, prone to flares, radiation, and instability. Yet they are everywhere. They make up the majority of stars in the galaxy. If life cannot exist around them, then the universe may be far more empty than hoped. When astronomers discovered that TRAPPIST, one hosts 7 rocky planets, the implications were immediate and profound. These were not gas giants or failed worlds. They were Earth-sized, dense, solid, worlds with surfaces, places where something could stand, settle, evolve. Even more astonishing, several of them occupied the star's habitable zone, where temperatures could allow liquid water under the right conditions. It was not just the number of planets that mattered. It was their arrangement. The planets orbit incredibly close to their star, forming a compact system unlike anything seen around the Sun. Their orbits are locked in resonant chains, meaning each planet's motion is synchronized with its neighbors. This gravitational choreography creates long-term stability, preventing chaos and collision. In a universe where planetary systems often tear themselves apart over time, TRAPPIST, one appears delicately balanced, a system that survives precisely because of its complexity. This stability matters more than distance or temperature alone. Life does not require perfection. It requires time. Time for chemistry to repeat itself. Time for mistakes to accumulate into structure. Time for adaptation to sculpt resilience out of randomness. A stable system offers that time. Yet TRAPPIST, one also challenges comfort. The planets are likely tidally locked, with one hemisphere perpetually facing the star and the other lost in endless night. On such worlds, there is no sunrise in the familiar sense, no daily rhythm. Climate becomes geography. Heat pools on one side, cold dominates the other. Only if atmosphere or oceans can redistribute energy does the planet avoid collapse into extremes. This creates worlds that are not Earth-like, but Earth-adjacent, governed by physics humanity understands, yet arranged in ways never experienced firsthand. Habitability, in this context, becomes a question not of resemblance, but of balance. Can a planet maintain circulation? Can clouds reflect enough radiation? Can oceans exist without freezing or boiling away? Can life find refuge in gradients rather than uniformity? Early assumptions were pessimistic. Red dwarfs were thought too violent, their flares too destructive, their radiation too intense. Close-orbiting planets were assumed to lose their atmospheres quickly, stripped bare by stellar winds. If this were true, TRAPPIST-1's planets would be little more than exposed stone. But observation complicated that narrative. Some planets appeared to retain atmospheres. Others did not. Some showed hints of volatile compounds. Others resisted classification entirely. The system refused to offer a simple answer. Instead, it presented a spectrum, a living laboratory of planetary outcomes shaped by subtle differences in mass, composition, and distance. This diversity within a single system is what makes TRAPPIST-1 uniquely powerful. It allows scientists to compare worlds born from the same materials, under the same star, yet evolving along different paths. It is not one experiment. It is 7 variations on the same theme. As telescopes grew more capable, the search shifted toward atmospheric chemistry. Scientists analyzed how starlight passed through alien skies, looking for signatures of water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, and other molecules essential to climate and life. These detections are not proof of biology. They are proof of potential. They tell us whether a planet is active or inert, dynamic or frozen in time. Some results were disappointing. Certain planets appeared dry. Others showed signs of atmospheric loss. But disappointment itself became data. Each absence refined models. Each null result sharpened understanding. Slowly, patiently, the picture became more complex and more hopeful. 1 or 2 planets in the system remain particularly intriguing, not because they resemble Earth, but because they refuse to be ruled out. Their atmospheres may persist. Their temperatures may allow liquid water under the right conditions. Their climates may be strange, but stable. These worlds exist in a liminal state, neither clearly habitable nor clearly dead. That ambiguity is where the search for Pandora truly lives. Pandora, as imagined in fiction, is lush, immediate, obvious. A world that announces its vitality the moment it is seen. Reality is unlikely to be so generous. Life may hide. It may persist beneath ice, under clouds, or in oceans shielded from radiation. It may reshape its environment subtly, leaving chemical fingerprints rather than monuments. If such life exists in the TRAPPIST-1 system, it may not resemble Earth's biosphere at all. It may operate on slower cycles. It may adapt to constant daylight or permanent darkness. It may thrive in places humans would consider marginal. But marginal is not meaningless. On Earth, life began at the edges. There is also a humbling possibility. TRAPPIST-1 may host worlds that were once habitable, oceans evaporated, atmospheres lost, climates destabilized. If so, the system becomes not just a source of hope, but a warning, a reminder that habitability is not permanent, that planets can cross thresholds from which they cannot return. In that sense, TRAPPIST-1 is not just about finding another Earth. It is about understanding how Earth survives. By studying worlds that almost work, scientists learn why one world does, why water remains, why atmospheres persist, why climate stabilizes rather than collapses. The search for Pandora is inseparable from the effort to understand our own fragility. As observation continues, TRAPPIST-1 remains silent. No signals, no confirmation, no revelation. Just data accumulating slowly, patiently, over years and decades. This silence is not failure. It is honesty. The universe does not rush its answers. Pandora, if it exists, will not be discovered in a single moment. It will emerge gradually, through narrowed uncertainty rather than sudden proof. Through the realization that one world, among many, refuses to be ruled out. Trappist, one does not promise life. What it offers is something more realistic and perhaps more profound. It offers possibilities structured by physics, bounded by evidence, and sustained by time. 7 worlds circling a quiet star, each one a reminder that the universe is not optimized for comfort, but for variation. And within that variation may exist a planet that breathes, not loudly, not obviously, but persistently, a world that never needed to resemble Earth to succeed at being alive.